The law of return is also known as the Threefold Law, the Rule of Three, the Law of Sympathy or Similarity, as well as the Law of Attraction. The Law of Return, or more commonly known within Wicca as the Threefold Law, is one of the basics of Wiccan belief, particularly when addressing magical workings. It is also the most controversial. The basic premise is not strictly Wiccan. It is a universal spiritual principle that any intention or energy that an individual sends out into the universe will be returned to him or her, whether it is positive or negative. The threefold concept adds to this return that it will be multiplied by a greater degree, or 3 times, or that it will affect the individual that sent out the intention on 3 separate levels: the physical level, the emotional level, and the spiritual level. Now, some Wiccans embrace these thoughts, while others resonate with a variant in which the return is not necessarily threefold in any sense, but that there is a return. The Rule of Three has a possible origin in Gerald Gardner's novel High Magic's Aid, where he states, "Thou hast obeyed the law, but mark well, when thou receivest good, so equally art bound to return good threefold." Reference can also be found in the Wiccan Rede. "Mind the threefold law ye should, 3 times bad and 3 times good." However, it was Raymond Buckland who popularized the idea that the threefold law was an actual law through his own published books on Wicca. Prior to Buckland, the concept of reciprocal ethics were less defined. The law of return does not teach morality. It does not determine what is bad or what is good, but instead explains the effect of our actions in our life. The threefold law suggests that we will receive 3 times whatever we send out. It may sound acceptable, however, we should understand that the world does not work as simply as the phrase suggests. That is an unnatural response. Let's look at Newton's third law of motion. It states, when one body exerts a force on a second body, the second body simultaneously exerts a force equal in magnitude and opposite in direction to that of the first body. Does that sound confusing? Let me see if I can break it down for you. This means, or what this law states, is that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. But see, this does not mean that if you act in a good way, you will receive the opposite of good, which you may associate as bad, and receive something bad in return. No. What it states is that what you put out comes back with that equal force. That is the opposite. Because you sent it out, you will receive it. For example, imagine a swinging door, like one you may have seen in an old Western. If an individual was to push open the door, that door will swing back towards them. So when you see the cowboy walk into the saloon, he pushes open the door, walks through, and that door swings back. If he were not to walk through, he'd still be standing there and the door would swing right back and hit him with the same force that he sent it. It's not good or bad, it's the opposite. It comes back. Now, The threefold law sometimes is described as karma by individuals, including some Wiccans. However, that's not strictly accurate. You see, both concepts describe the process of cause and effect, and they are not viewed as punishment or retribution, but simply an extension or an extended expression of the natural consequences. However, if we look at karma, according to the scriptures of Buddhism, Hinduism, and other Eastern belief systems, karma refers to the totality of actions and their associated reactions in this life and previous lifetimes. And then all of that determines an individual's future in their current incarnations as well as their future incarnations. So it takes the totality. Now, that concept of karma does not operate on a system of threefold return, and there is no one-for-one scorecard as is assumed by the idea of the threefold law or the law of return. So the threefold law of the law of return says, I do this, I receive this. But karma does not operate in that. It takes the totality of a lifetime, previous lifetimes, and will put it towards current incarnations. That's why the threefold law, although it may be described by some as karma, it's not really karma. If you have any other questions in regards to the threefold law, the law of return, please feel free to leave a comment. And as always, I love you.